Our next session is long rather than short. As bandwidth improves and prices drop, are we moving towards longer and longer video? And what does that mean to content creators and advertisers? I'm going to be inviting our moderator first, Ms. Janine Stein, Editorial Director, Content Asia. Let's welcome her, please. The panelists for this panel discussion, Mr. Abhimanyu Singh, Founder and Chief Executive Officer, Contello Pictures. Let's welcome him. Mr. Kedar Gavne, Vice President, Comscore. And Mr. Rajiv Dingra, Founder and CEO, WAT Consult. I'm now going to leave the stage to our moderator.
Thank you very much, and thanks so much for joining us. I feel like this last session was so mind-blowing for me, so thank you very much, Jessica. I had no idea. I think the power of a short video this session could not have been set up better than that. So I hope we can rise to the level that you set. I'm going to start off with the trends, the big picture, the trends that Comscore is seeing. So we'll ask Kedar, what are the top trends in video consumption in India that you are experiencing now, and where do you think this is going?
I think a lot has been spoken about since yesterday about the trends, and everybody has their numbers and so on. We started reporting video in India about 5 years back, and the trend at about then was video consumption was doubling every year. Today that has reduced to a quarter or 2 months. Every 2 months there's almost a doubling of video views that go across on desktop, mobile, or any platform together. And I would say that probably is the primary trend that drives advertising, marketing, the analytics, or anything that happens. We're seeing that the younger generation loves to watch shorter videos. That was a trend globally, but that's getting even more amplified as the bandwidth prices have dropped. The consumption has gone up 5 or 6 times compared to what it was earlier at millennials age group, and the long form video sticks with the older age group and so on. The main trend, the one which I really like, is that video as an advertising market had stuck to its purity. So the monetization on video is a lot better. It's a lot closer to television, I would say. And the way everybody has embraced video growth in India, whether be it an advertiser, be it a publisher or a content creator, I think there is a lot of credibility and value in the medium itself.
When you see this value, are you seeing it in long form? Because the session is long versus short. Would you look at the world as a long versus short equation? Is it a versus equation?
Yeah, with such an explosive growth, it's really hard to define boundaries and to say whether short form videos are more or long form videos are more. Yes, of course, the volume and the frequency of short form videos are much higher compared to long form videos. But in terms of monetization, I would say a long content video offers maybe 3 or 4 ad spots, which is equivalent to a frequency of 4 on a short form video. So I would say net, from an advertising point of view, they're sort of equal. The kind of ads that are being created on long form versus short form is definitely different. Yeah.
Well, I'll take that question to Rajiv as well. It's for you long and short.
So as Watt Consult, we are both creative and media agency. So we actually look at it from both the lenses. I think when we speak to clients, we realize that it's not about the length of the video. You can't start there. You have to start where and what is the objective of that video, and in what script, message totally justifies the objective and also makes that video watchable, shareable, you know, rewatchable, even that. So you want to watch it again and again. Now, if that it requires 3 minutes, so be it. If that is doable in 30 seconds, so be it. The endeavor, though, as an agency and with all our experience across clients, has always been to keep it as short as possible, and that goes back to the, the thumb-stopping creative on Facebook, the plethora of content that's thrown at the audiences, the problem of abundance of choice, and the lowering attention span of a highly distracted millennial audience who has everything on demand. So definitely shorter videos is the endeavor, but everything that meets the objective and is effectively communicating, engaging, creating contents that's watchable, shareable, and rewatchable is what is most important and not the length. So for me, this question of long versus short in itself is an incomplete insight or conversation.
Time versus cost. Is cost a factor in your decision making?
Not at all. I mean, I have seen brands pay obscene amount of money to a celebrity and create 10-second videos for digital only, right? So I don't think long videos, and my company has produced a film that was beautifully shot with 2 kids in a park for a 2-minute film in less than 10 lakhs. So the point that I'm trying to make is there is no cost correlation to length of video. That's a misnomer.
Got it. So how has your world been rocked by the short form video explosion?
I think it's become amazing. I think the conversation when it comes to video content is so broad now with clients, where format, length of video, type of video, whether it's having people, it's short video, or it's animated video, it's stop motion video, just the formats are so many. And all these permutation and combinations create so many possibilities of what's possible through video. At a recent report that we launched just 2 days back, we realized that video as a format is the fastest growing digital advertising format, far larger than search advertising, social advertising, all of that. It's the fastest growing compounded advertising, and it's going to take over all of that, right? And you combine that with the fact that there's so much of flexibility and options today for a marketer or a brand to look at how he is going to create his own film, or how he's going to integrate within curated or created content out there on digital. So right from OTT content to YouTubers content, which is influencer videos, it's just amazing amount of opportunity, and all boils down to what's the objective and who you are trying to reach.
And one more question before we move on. Do you think brands and marketers truly understand what they're dealing with in online and specifically mobile video? And do you think creators truly understand the power of what they have?
I don't think either of them holistically understand how much the opportunity is and how much they can do. That's why when larger brands have budgets, the simpler way is to look at a reach and frequency and move towards TV, which is why even today, digital overall as an advertising medium doesn't take more than 15% of the total advertising market share, and video is much smaller to that, so you can imagine how small video is, right? So I think it's the problem of plenty, where you have to decide and marketers have to put their neck on the line on, let's say, and even if it's like a 10 lakh or a 20 lakh budget, they have to put their neck on the line on a certain strategy. Now that may or may not work because we still are, as we may say, on the early days of video explosion, where a lot of new ways of exploring video is happening. But TV is a known format, and for them, even if they go for a local channel, they know the reach and frequency and what they expect out of it for that. So I think that's definitely why TV is the 40–50% of the overall advertising spend today. But I think that's changing so rapidly. The rate of change has compounded 5 to 7x as far as I'm concerned in the way marketers now look at the effectiveness of online video for their brands.
Is this a measurement challenge, or are you up to it?
See, measurement is a catch-up game. It's always a challenge because with so many content creators, so many platforms, the stage of evolution on technology is different. So measuring each and every video format is different. Now there is a new telecom provider who's trying to play a walled garden approach in terms of whatever content they serve. That needs new measurement altogether. From a consumption side, yes, it all sits under one bucket. But when you look at the way this is getting consumed, what technology, what video format, what cloud, etc., there are challenges in terms of measuring it. But just to put that to rest, we are about to launch video on mobile, that is video engagement on mobile, and you'll also see data around cross-device reporting on videos as well very soon from Comscore.
In terms of measuring, just for people here who need to monetize what they do, are you 5% towards where you need to be, 10%, 20%? By the end of this year, will they have robust enough data to go out there and monetize what they have?
Yeah. I think we are almost, from a trends perspective, we are almost like 70–80% there because we measure how many people, what are the consumption trends on all video platforms, including mobile app, etc. What we don't report on mobile right now is the actual video views or engagement. So, I think that's the only part that we would be adding.
I'd like to add to that. There is, what's interesting is BARC, which measures TV, is also launching a digital video measurement later this year. And once there is a single unit of measurement across TV and video, that will appeal a lot to marketers who want it simplified as their opportunity for reach and frequency.
And we'll talk more in the next session with the BARC head, Partha Dasgupta, about the new measurement system, what the challenges there are. I'd like to talk, we're talking about an age of plenty, and obviously Contilo reaped a lot of the benefits of the TV age of plenty. Are you reaping the benefits of the digital age of plenty?
I think it's a fantastic time for storytellers and for creators. But having said that, we have key challenges also. One is that India has seen on television, it's seen for the last 17 years, a lot of daily shows being made. So when, I've been doing some of the historicals and mythos and thrillers and horrors, but they also run on for like 7 years, 10 years, 15 years. So it's actually the reverse for us. We're going to be looking at short rather than long. Because for us, it has been 700 episodes, 600 episodes. Now, for the first time, we're actually getting the possibility of telling stories in 10, 15 episodes over seasonal, as seasonal formats. This also gives rise to, India as an entertainment economy has transited from being a daily show, content creators to now suddenly moving towards premium digital content. We didn't move to premium television content ever. So you will have challenges as far as writing is concerned, as far as creating content is concerned, but I think we'll overcome that. And there are we are currently doing a show for the first time. We're doing a show called 21 Sarfarosh, which is going to be coming on Discovery Jeet. That's 65 episodes. So we've written the whole show. We've made the whole show, and we're putting the whole show. This is for the first time in my 20 years of production career that I'm getting the chance to do so.
Is your day of 600 episodes over, or is there just a... We've heard that internet has come to rural India. I think, is there still a massive audience for the 600, 700 episodes across more than 1 billion people?
Yes, I think that's going to continue. But possibly it'll get a little commoditized because you will have, people, soap operas are still going to be watched by, there's something called free dish. Now this is free television being provided to, we're still a large part of our country is poor. And they're getting free television for the rest of their lives. So they will continue to consume daily soap operas. But you are going to have, on top of the pyramid, there are going to be a large section of audiences which we see currently on television. We were just speaking about, measurement coming across platforms. I think, the West already has something called TAM, which is total audience measurement, as opposed to, just television audience measurement. And that is, I think, what BARC is, planning to do. So you are going to see the, premium content being created for the top of the pyramid, and people are going to pay for it. You'll have subscription coming in for the first time in India, which I think has been the biggest roadblock to creating cutting-edge, world-class content.
I'm talking about the premium sector of the market. Has Netflix and Amazon made a significant difference to you in the amount of money they're coming in and spending, significantly higher than any other budgets that have been seen before?
See, I think it's still evolving. You still have to see a big hit come out of India on a premium digital series. Once that happens, then I think there's a market within India, OTT market within India. I also think there's a market, like we were just talking, that a show like Fauda, which is an Israeli show, has become a big hit all over the world. I'm sure there will be a time where an Indian show becomes a big hit all over the world. And then you will see budgets opening up, you will see, more premium stuff coming out. But I think that is still evolving. We still haven't seen that in India.
And where are you on the short form end of the spectrum? What are you doing in short form?
So, like I told you that, we have made that first transition as a company from coming from those 600, 700 episodes, and now we are actually telling a historical show within 60 episodes. Now that's a big challenge, writing it, producing it, doing it within the budget.
How long are those episodes? Is it real short form?
They're 30 minutes. I mean,
22
minutes. Yeah.
I think maybe at this point it will be useful to define what's long and what's short.
I think that's where the challenge is. I mean, I think when you're looking at film content and not advertising, let's differentiate between the two. I think the lines are very blurry as on date. I think brands would be better off making content and not advertising if they wanted to really cut through to the consumer, but not everybody can be that creative. But separating content and advertising, I think for content, 5 to 7 minutes, 10 minutes is short because that's content. It's like a short film, right? And 30 minutes is like an episode because that's the episode on television as well, right? So it's like a webisode, if I may say so, pretty much. So I'd like to think about 3 to 5 minutes is short for content. It's like short format content.
Right.
And if you're looking at advertising, then 10 to 30 seconds is about right. And if you're looking at a little longer than that, then about 1 to 3 minutes is long. If it has brand as part of a serious story in it. But having said that, I think some guys have done really, really well, like the Google reunion video, which had the Indian and Pakistani reunion of friendship, had Google products right through it, but it was great content, right?
Yeah, I think that's the shift into content.
Clearly 5, 6 minutes long.
So that's considered short or long?
That is considered long, but it was great content and hence it worked.
Your long could be more than 2 minutes.
No, 20 minutes, I would say. So
And short is 1
anything
to 20.
shorter than 20
and
minutes.
anything under, okay, I think we've got that before we continue. So in the short form, in the short, you're talking about 60 episodes of 30 minutes, which is still long.
30 hours. I think it's a step in the right direction from 300 hours to 30 hours. And I'm sure there'll be 10 hours also now soon. So that's the way the world is moving, and you're going to continue to move in that direction.
What are your creative challenges in this brand-funded space? Because I think brands are being encouraged to move into the content creation space, into content marketing.
I believe that premium content cannot be advertising funded. I think it has to be subscription funded. You will have, means to tell a story well, you'll have to be bigger and better in the digital space. You'll have to take it notches higher than what you're doing on television. So it'll have to be, it can't be advertising funded, according to me. I might be wrong, but I think subscription is going to be where content creators are going to look at, creating content in a bigger and better way.
What time frame are you predicting for the subscription explosion or for subscription?
It's already
agreement?
happening, I think.
It's happening in a
yes,
big way, a small way? Are you looking
I think
at 3 years?
it's happening. It's, we are seeing changes in the television landscape, and it's more rapid now. So you'll see an upward trend even at a rapid pace when you come to seeing subscription, video content, bandwidths increasing. So you're going to see a lot of change in the ecosystem.
Yesterday we heard Vanita say that television had been the worst at grabbing their fair share of the money being earned from television. Does that impact you as a creator, the fact that broadcasters are not getting, programmers are not getting their fair share of the money being earned off television?
I think that's an IP discussion.
It could be. It's not necessary. I mean, maybe the programmer will get less than 20%, I think it was. Pay, yeah. Yeah.
So I guess, the broadcasters also have had their challenges being able to monetize their pay revenues. And it's been, it's been under-monetized. It's I think, the cheapest pay TV market in the world. And therefore, they've had their challenges, and hence, the creators have had their challenges. But I think that's opening up now.
Great. You've divided your future or your universe going forward into 3 segments. So you look at Contilo's business development in 3 buckets. Can you tell us a little bit about the 3 that you see your advantage?
So there's the traditional television play, which exists in India. I think that's going to continue it'll get more commoditized, I feel. It'll become, cost on television is going to reduce. It means the price per half hour that you're able to realize as a content creator is going to reduce. Then you have the OTT play within India, and then you have the worldwide OTT play. So these are the 2 different new markets that are emerging. So you can tell certain stories for your discerning 15 to 20 million audience that wants to see Indian stories, and which will pay for that content. What they will pay for, who they will pay is still a question. And the third is obviously your super premium stuff that you can, there's certain stories, I believe if a Jungle Book can do so well, it's Rudyard Kipling who wrote it, and it's a pure Indian story, and there'll be many other stories that will resonate across the world. And that's going to be another market, that's going to emerge.
So essentially looking out over your landscape in the next 3 years, there's huge opportunity. Would I be right in saying you're looking at massive opportunity?
Yes, it is massive opportunity, but there are a huge amount of challenges also.
Okay, so tell me about the challenges.
Challenges, like I told you, the 2 big challenges. One is writing.
Yeah.
How you got to write these series, how you got to make these series, how you're going to make it, because people have shifted out of television, a certain section of audiences, because they don't identify with the kind of storytelling happening. And second is obviously your production design. Because it'll have to be far bigger, better. You'll have to, stretch the buck as much as possible because of design. So those are going to be 2 big challenges I think we'll face.
Are you anywhere close to solving them?
No, I think if I'd solved them, then I'd be in the Bahamas.
There's one other there's other area I'd like to talk about, which is streaming versus downloading and what you're seeing. So maybe Kedar can talk to us about.
So I would say it was pretty much streaming throughout this year. As in 2017, we saw a lot of OTT players offering an offline download as an option for most of the apps or devices. There are early signs that long form is purely download and short form is all streaming, because the quality of bandwidth has marginally improved. Prices have suddenly dropped, but I would say the quality to watch a long form video on the cellular network is still a sort of a challenge. So yeah, those are early signs of, and what I would say the trend is from this is the short-term future is short-form videos and monetizing short-form videos, but hopefully long-term is long-form videos, which is, I'm saying 2 to 3 years till bandwidth improves.
What needs to happen for there to be no conflict between, or no tension between streaming and download? I mean, Geo made a huge difference. What else needs to happen?
I think in most other markets, download as an option is more like a time shifting option, right? Like you don't want to watch this show in the office, but you want to go back and watch it at home, right? Whereas here it's more about where do I get better bandwidth? I'll sit there and download the whole show and probably watch it when I want. So it's not really, it's bandwidth shifting rather than time shifting or place shifting. So that that gap needs to converge to have better quality of service.
Does the stream versus download make an impact? It may have any impact on what you advise your clients to do?
I'd like to actually also answer how this could happen, because
Sure.
I think Geo's work is unfinished. I think Geo Fiber, which is going to be connecting all the homes with broadband, that's where the big shift on downloading would happen. Combine that with the TV hardware industry, which is creating smart TVs only now. Where they are completely embedded with all the OTT players, and they are making partnerships as we speak. So suddenly you don't need a box, a set-top box, to make your TV come alive. You put it at your home. You have your Geo broadband, which is currently they are doling out for people to use for free across at least the metros and so on and so forth. That they plan to go really big across the country. And you have internet TV at home, which can download while you're at work. So even if you just take the urban internet population, which is fairly large and significant given India's internet penetration, that's a large amount of people who would have the capability to download while not at home and then watch content. For advertisers and marketers, it's definitely a sign of looking at OTT content and partnerships and sponsorships in a big way. I think 2017 was the year where there was a lot more talk than actual investment by some really large players. They've still stuck to the known players on video like YouTube and Facebook, and they continue to take a large share of the video advertising pie. But my estimate is that this year and over the next 2 years, 2018, 19, and 20, you'd see huge amount of investments in non-cricket video content, which is created content for the web. Cricket, obviously, IPL, Hotstar takes the cake, but if you move that out, then the other created content for web, I think the next 3 years you'll see some really, really interesting brand integrations around created content for the web.
Do you think you can ride that trend, the brand created content for the web? Are you planning to get involved in that?
No, we're not planning to. Because my fundamental belief is that, now subscribers need to start paying for content. And that's where we'll be able to tell stories in a bigger and better way, because otherwise it's the same television model moving onto the net. So that's my answer.
So there's no competition from you on web series.
No.
Got it. We have a question. It's more where do you see, so I'm going to say short is green and long is red. So for the content creators and the platforms and digital publishers in the room, do you see your future in short form, which green, or long form, red? I think there's slightly more. Oh, there's something for you two to argue about at home tonight. I think there's a fair amount of red, so there is long form, but obviously short form is considered easier or just more take-up is better online?
I think the cost of advertising a long form is more expensive because the view-through rate of the watchability of the entire video and your entire message being seen drops out at various level every 3 seconds, maybe every 10 seconds, whatever it is. While shorter format videos, currently the way large online platforms are structured, with pre-rolls being the bread and butter of video advertising inventory, 10 seconders and 30 seconders are, and 6 seconders with video YouTube bumper ads are the ones that advertisers have options with. So hence for them, content creators and advertisers, at least when they are creating branded content, right, it just makes sense to crisp it down because the cost of advertising and then expecting a user to watch the entire 4 or 5 minute film that you've created is much more,
Yeah, I would say, the way a long form video is, the cost, the investments that go into it, they're more made towards making immediate revenue through subscriptions. And that's proven across the world, right? I mean, in China, it's now unbundling down to the show level or a video level where a person can buy and pay 10 rupees or, $10 to just buy that particular show or that particular episode. Whereas short form content, I think, is more aligned towards advertising or monetizing through advertising. So those are the two differentiators for me.
In the next 12 months, where do you see the biggest growth?
Short form video.
Short form. Short form.
In the next 12 months, where do you see the biggest growth, industry-wide, not necessarily only for you?
Well, I wouldn't have that data, but means as creators, you'll have a lot of, good creators coming into creating content for your SWOT platforms.
Huge growth. How are you going to solve the challenge of writers?
So, we've actually, one of the series that we're developing, we have hired a Hollywood writer to work with some of the guys here. And, we're trying to learn a lot from how they write seasonal stuff. And so we've put a writer's room in place. And we have the writer come down every month right now. And we're developing the series in that manner. So once that happens, then we propose to get a proper production designer who, helps us design the show also accordingly. So let's see how that goes.
What do you want from Hollywood?
The structure of writing seasonal stories.
And India's missing that.
India actually has never had premium television content, right? Because we've never been subscription driven, unlike the West.
Yeah.
We've always been advertising driven. So now we are going into this whole era of subscription driven on digital, right? So they want that kind of, so that when they're seeing a Narcos or they're seeing a House of Cards, your show is going to be sitting besides that, right? So you have to have the same structure of storytelling, which we don't.
So the binge, what I'm hearing is that the binge watching option that digital has brought in will significantly change the way Indians are told stories?
Consumption patterns have changed because of the digital revolution. So you have binge watchers, binge racers, people watching a whole season in a day. You just told me you watched a whole season in one day,
I know
right?
that's so embarrassing,
Yeah.
but I did.
So
I do.
if I told you you got to watch 600 episodes in one day, would you? You wouldn't, right?
There's no
You would
time. I
watch 10
spend the whole
episodes in a
week. That
day,
would be
right?
fabulous.
So yeah, that's where fundamentally things are changing, and we don't have those structures in place. We'll get those structures in place.
So what about shows like Prisoner of War, which was Homeland, which was made in India, I think fairly successfully? Where would you see the successes right now that people can refer to?
So I think on the TV space, they've tried to do that like 24. It was a very well made show, right? It did decently on network television, but I think it could have done much better. It should have done much better. It was a very well-made show.
So on premium, would that do better?
100% it would, because your premium audience is not, it's a discerning audience, it's left television, right? And you're making that premium stuff for television, they're not there. So that content then, if it was sitting on a premium platform, yes, you would have had audiences paying for it.
I got it. Thank you very much. We've almost come to the end of the session. I have no more questions. If there's anything you'd like to say that we haven't already discussed, on which note? Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you,
Jenny.
speakers.
Thank you.